Hello, I'm Chip Stites, and this is The Laughing Retirement. Today, we've got something that's a bit different. Um, it is our investment philosophy. Now, what prompted this was reading John Malden and a discussion that John Malden had with David Bahnsen, both of whom I read well. David Bahnsen has the Dividend Cafe, which is free. And John Malden has Thoughts from the Front Line, which is also free. Both of them do have things that you can purchase, but for pure and simple reading and understanding, I've been with John Malden for years and years and years, more than a decade or two, a long time. And David Bahnsen is newer to the party, but I loved his book, The Case for Dividend Growth. And I like how he thinks. And they both think the same thing. And that is, very simply, you must have an investment philosophy. So let's start this. Investment Basics, the place where everyone should start, even professionals. But too often, too few pay attention to investments as anything other than sales and what they've been taught about diversification. As a matter of fact, and this is according to David Bahnsen and to John Malden, if your financial advisor does not have an investment philosophy, find someone else. Now, at the Laughing Retirement, we have an investment philosophy. I've had an investment philosophy over the years. It's changed a few times as I've changed. And I just changed it, what I believe will probably be for the last time. And I changed it because my thinking has not really changed as much as it's been filtered down to the very basic thoughts that I have about how one should invest. Now, why a philosophy? Well, if you read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, you understand that you need to have an emotional, philosophical purpose and reason for doing what you're doing. Cicero would say the same thing. The Cynics would say the same thing. The Stoics would say the same thing. What is the basis of your investment? I would ask my financial professional what their investment philosophy was. 90% of the time, they'll hand you something that talks about diversification. Diversification is not a philosophy. Diversification is a strategy. What is it that drives them? Are they totally growth-oriented? If so, how do they find it? What do they think about costs, fees? What do they think about holding period? What kinds of investments do they believe are right? Well, let's take a look at ours. Let's take a look at what we think. Now, along the way, I'm going to show you things that have stood the test of time. All of these pictures I've taken, because all of these things, and in this case, it's Paestum, one of the three Greek temples in Paestum that were built between 550 and 450 BC. They've been around a long time. As a matter of fact, archaeological professors will tell you, some of them, that the best Greek temples in the world are not in Athens. They're in Italy. There are two places in Italy, the Valley of the Temples and Paestum, both of which were Greek, because remember, southern Italy was Greek for hundreds of years. And so this is a place to start. And right now we're at about 550 BC with this Greek temple. The first step about investing is to ask yourself, what do you believe? What do you feel? What do you think? What's right? Are you a trader? Do you want to trade every 60 seconds? Are you purely momentum? Are you a growth guy that holds something for 3 to 6 months and incidentally, that's the average holding period right now is somewhere between 3 and 6 months. I started mine with my mentor back in the 80s. He had an investment philosophy and I started with his. First time I changed it was 1999. And I changed it because I saw some things in mutual funds with the dot-coms that changed how I felt about investing. And from that time forward, I began investing. I began creating my own philosophy and my own way of investing, my own set of beliefs. I changed it again in 2007 and again in 2020, and this is the last time. Every time has been a distillation of the ideas that I have about how you should invest. And some of the biggest changes I've had for me have come since I retired and since I started reading David Bahnsen, his book, Mark Lichtenfeld, his book, Dr. Jeremy Siegel, his book, Mark Lowenstein, Buffett. So many different books. But the masters always tell you the same thing. The masters don't say, well, try this over here and try that over there. No. The guys that have done this seriously for a long period of time, they say the same thing again and again and again. Growth investors are as different as trees in a forest. Little tweak here, a little tweak there, idea here, idea there. But the guys who know what they're doing, the guys who are consistent, the guys who have been around for a long time, pretty much say the same thing. So let's get into my investment philosophy. Start with what you believe to be true and to be important. And in this case, we're looking at the Piazza del Popolo in Ascoli Piceno, which was built from around 1509 to 1511. The start of my philosophy. It is crucial to make investing simple and understandable so that anyone with a high school education can be financially successful. I believe that. I believe that if you have a high school education and have a thought pattern, you understand multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction, you can be a successful investor. See, it doesn't take a genius. It doesn't take special education. It takes understanding a process. And I can show you that process. We'll talk about that later. How do you state succinctly what you believe are stable growing investments that will retain value? How do you say that? Let's take a shot. We invest in companies that produce something of value in our lives. Historically, this type of company stock appreciates over time. Some key words in there. Produce something of value, appreciates over time. Two things that are very important. You see, when I look at Johnson & Johnson, I see my Q-tips every morning, or I see the Band-Aids that are in the house for a cut, or I see the cream that goes on the cut. They produce something of value over time, and Johnson & Johnson has grown over time. This is the Colosseum. The Colosseum was built by Emperor Vespasiano, started at least by him in 70 AD, finished in 72 AD, I believe, and it wasn't until 80 AD when I think Domitian added the fourth level, 50,000 to 58,000 people. 2 stories below, elevators. wooden elevators that brought people and animals, all kinds of things up and down from below so that they could fight in the arena. An absolutely amazing place. You can go there and you can see it. 2,000 years old. It's still there. It stood the test of time, just like a philosophy should stand the test of time. We look for companies that produce something of value that will grow over time. Now, what components will make you successful? We believe that the crucial determinant of successful investing is owning companies that consistently compensate shareholders for the risk they take. Consistently compensate shareholders for the risk they take. That's a way of saying, I want to get paid for the risk I take. If I'm going to invest in your company, I want something back. I want to know I'm going to get something back. If it sounds like I'm pounding the table, it's because I am. Now, what's right next to this? Well, right next to this is the Grand Tetons. I stood in the same place Ansel Adams stood when he took this famous photograph, and I took it at about the same time of day. It's color, not black and white, but it's an absolutely beautiful shot that when the sun comes up, the mountains turn pink, and you can see that. You can see it in the clouds, and you can see it in the reflection on the still water. It's still there since he took it, and you can go there and take the same picture. And I hope we'll be able to say that 150 years from now, you'll be able to go to the same spot, take the same picture. I pray we will. And I pray that the companies that I invest in have been around long enough to be consistent in producing value and compensating me for the risk I am going to take, and therefore compensating you. Now, what factors do we have that are known to be historically accurate? In this case, the picture you're looking at is David. David is approximately 16 feet, 11.5 inches tall. It is amazing. He is amazing to see. He looks like he could step right off. And yet he's there. It has become a historical, iconic figure over time. We know that value investing, when pursued diligently over a long period of time, will yield returns equal to those of growth investing with lower risk. This is said over and over again by the masters. Why would you want to risk more money, risk your money, risk your hard-earned savings? Why would you want to take excessive risk? John Bogle said it over and over again. You don't need 15, 20 mutual funds. You need 4. Very simple. Historically accurate, certainly. Long-term will yield returns equal to those of growth investing with less risk. In other words, over a long period of time, I can take less risk than the average growth investor or the average financial advisor is taught, and I'll equal them or beat them. It's kind of a nice thought, because my portfolio is not going to go like this. My portfolio is going to be very different over time. How do we invest? How do we find success in these ideas? Holding value stocks and reinvesting the dividends creates the miracle of compounding, a key to success. Reinvested dividends. You don't have to do anything to get a dividend. All you got to do is sit there and earn money. It doesn't take watching the computer every day to make sure whether your stock is going up and down and what the momentum is and what's going to happen. What do the latest news say? Nope. really relatively easy. We believe that successful investing is a product of process, attention, commitment, and education. Pace yourself. You're looking at the tower, one of the towers next to the cathedral in the old part of Florence. The intricacy is amazing. And yet you have to walk up to see the different colors of marble and the different ways they were carved. And yet, even though each one is different, they fit together. They belong there. They don't move around and change every day. The pieces aren't interchangeable. It is detailed. It is almost dynamic, and yet it fits. It stays. It's been around for a long time. Just like holding value stocks that reinvest the dividends creates the miracle of compounding. Einstein called it the eighth miracle. We believe that successful investing is a product of process, attention, commitment, and education. If you'll put that kind of effort into something over a long period of time, you can become wealthy without a lot of work and actually lower your taxes at the same time. It's kind of interesting. Most people don't understand it. Most people don't believe it. What pitfalls do we know along the way that can be avoided? Fees should be avoided and kept as low as possible as they rob the average investor of 63% of what they might otherwise save. John Bogle, the founder of Vanguard, said this in front of Congress September 16th of 2014. I didn't believe it. I still have trouble with 63%, so I spent a year and a half doing my own research, doing my own spreadsheets, which I will show you happily. You can go through them. I've sent them to experts to look at. They said that none of my formulas were wrong, that I was consistent, that the number was correct from my hypotheses, and all I did, very simple, was to take what the average person made at a specific in 10-year increments, how much the average person saved in 10-year increments, how much the average 401k matched, and I just put all that together, and then I subtracted fees, and I took the return of the S&P 500 over a period of 21 years. I didn't come up with 63%. I came up with 52%. And I was amazed. Fees will kill you. So how do we become successful? We become successful by taking less risk and paying less for what we are getting. Now, that's pretty logical. That's pretty simple. Fees should be avoided or kept as low as possible as they rob the average investor of at least 63% of what they might otherwise save. John Bogle in his testimony before Congress, September 16th of 2014. Now, how? I took this off of St. Mark's Square, and it's so iconic. Gondolas have been around for, 14th, 15th, 13th century. As a matter of fact, how long have gondolas have been around since the 11th century, give or take 1,000 years. Amazing. So you've got something here that's 1,000 years old and has retained its romance and its beauty. How would you feel if I could show you how to become a millionaire? Not today, not tomorrow, not with a single stock, but over time with intelligence and understanding. How would you feel if I could show your children how they could retire at 45 instead of 65 by starting at 25 or 20 or 15? How would you feel if you could know that your money wasn't going to drop like a stone and that you were going to continue to get paid and you didn't have to worry about your nest egg in retirement? Exactly how to put together a strategy to do that. Now, you know what I believe in investing. I just told you. It's not confusing. It's not complicated. There aren't any questions. This is what I believe. I've said it. Now, I hope you're going to join me Sunday, September 21st at 11 a.m. for about an hour and 15 minutes, plus questions as long as you want them, on 4 types of stock that follow this philosophy. And will give you lower risk, lower taxes, and higher income. Yeah, that's it. Now, this picture was taken at midnight a decade ago on the Grand Canal of Venice. It takes me back every time I look at it because we've just sat, my wife and I just sat and ate for 3 hours or so. And we were walking back to the hotel. And at the time, my philosophy was a little bit different. It wasn't as refined as it is now. It wasn't quite as simple. I believe in simplicity, and I believe that you can understand how to invest, and I believe that I can show you how. I hope you'll join me September 21st at 11 a.m. for about an hour and 15 minutes. That's a Sunday. And if you'll look down at the bottom here, there's a link. Sign up. Join me. Maybe even change your life and help your kids or yourself become a millionaire safely. I'm Chip Stites. This is the Laughing Retirement. And I hope you'll remember Sunday, the 21st, 11 a.m. on Zoom. Bring a paper and a pencil, an open mind, and prepare to ask me questions. See you then.